There we go.
Cool.
When you're ready, don't rush.
No problem at all. Pete, thank you for the massive build up to help my anxiety levels. That's been amazing. If I wasn't nervous beforehand, no, I'm all good. But beside the point, looking forward to catching up in person next week, Peter Moles, and absolute pleasure to share with you some customer service tips today. I don't think any are going to be groundbreaking, so I'm just going to set that expectation slightly lower than Pete has, but I hope that there's something that you can take away that is useful. And if you haven't connected with me already, just type Graeme Beever as it's spelt on here into LinkedIn, because there aren't many of us around, which is a unique selling point, I guess, of Graeme Beever. So I'm just going to share my screen and a small presentation about customer service and these things called raving fans. And I clearly have one in the room. Thank you very much, Pete. So here we go. So this is going to be a guide to creating raving fans, I hope, and I'll give you some hints and tips, and I do hope there's at least one thing you can take away from this. First and foremost, though, customer experience, also known as CX, has many different factors or facets. The first one at the top is really about the perception. When you think of a product or a brand, you immediately build up a perception about it, hopefully a good one, but it could also be a bad one. Think about local government. What do you think? Resignation. Sorry, government. You think resignations. What a great service they're delivering. Well, the leader isn't, but that's another story. If you also consider engagement, it's a massive part of how you get new customers on board. You know, that is an experience for someone. They're experiencing your brand for the first time, be it your website, social media, your marketing. So that is also customer experience. When they do engage with you, they start a journey. That journey has many different touch points, and it can have as many or hopefully as few as you put in place really for that customer. And at each point, they are going to be having an experience, and hopefully a good one, to progress to the next. The ease of the transaction. This is when actually somebody's going to interact with you. It might not actually be buying something, but making it easy, and there's lots of technology out there to do that, is key to the customer experience. I'm going to talk once or twice about Amazon. You know, Amazon are still, I think, one of the only companies who have the one-touch buy button. You can literally buy something by pressing a button once and then doing the slide. They're one of very few companies in the world that can do this, but it's also why they're so popular, because it's so quick, it's so easy. Don't buy something on a Friday night after a couple of beers. You know, we all know that. So that's how they make their money. Communication. This is a big part of the customer experience, how you communicate with your customers, not just in the buying process, but through the cycle and also afterwards. You know, are you listening to what they're saying? And are you taking feedback on board and actually doing something with it, or saying to them, we can't do anything with that, but thank you very much. And then you've got the emotional side of things. You need to connect with your customers on an emotional level. How many times have we seen adverts for random products that are just pictures and, you know, fluffiness? It's because they're capturing your emotions. You know, who thought buying a can of Coca-Cola would be an emotional purchase? But it is, because they put names on it. Or you can have a special bottle or something. Coke are brilliant at that. So these are all customer experiences and things to bear in mind when you're selling your product. So why is it important? I'm pretty sure most of us will know, but if you didn't realize, that marketplace is ever changing, and I think it's sped up in the past couple of years. Consumers want different things. Strange that, and they have higher demands, even stranger. You know, the younger generation also are different to maybe my generation. So we've got to bear that in mind as to who we're marketing to and who we're selling to. In the past few years, successful businesses, they've learned to adapt. You know, we saw during the pandemic that businesses were all of a sudden delivering stuff that didn't deliver and making stuff and et cetera, but they've adapted and they've had to. It's kind of forced people along. But think about your business, and when did you last review how it feels to a customer in your world? Sarah very kindly referenced that I'd been on the Mastermind 9 element of the Outside Ideas website, because I was just curious, and it was great, but there was also some feedback that I wanted to give, because Sarah and Pete, like many of you most probably, set their business up and thought, that's great, it's done. And you probably haven't gone back to corner of your website, have you? And just checked it. So, you know, bear that in mind. So a couple of challenges I want just to highlight why you don't focus on customer experience in your business. And these are some of the key ones. There are others, but starting off, where do you start? What are you going to do? Oh, it's such a minefield. Basically, start off with the outcome. What are you looking to achieve? Do you want to get Google reviews? Do you want 5 stars? Do you want repeat business? Do you want, you know, testimonials? What is it you actually want? You can have them all if you want to, but just start with one. Awareness. This is more about your awareness. You know, have you got a process in place to check your awareness versus the customers? Going back to what I said about Sarah and her website, you know, have you been back through? Have you got a friend or a colleague to stress test it, make an inquiry? You know, look at it from the inside out rather than the outside in. And also, have you got too many processes? Do you need them all? Do they offer any value? Are you spending money? Don't hide from feedback either. Real customer feedback. If you're not asking for it, then you're not listening to it and you're not acting upon it. You know, do this in a safe environment within these 4, I say 4 networking in walls, but you know what I mean. Get people that you trust and know and like to do that for you first. Online reviews, it's a massive thing. It doesn't need to be such a massive thing, but it is a massive thing. And I'm not going to talk about it in 15 minutes today, but managing online reviews can become your life if you're not careful. Feedback and posts and being reactive are not what you want to be doing. You need a proactive strategy. I will be honest and say that I've actually bought a product based on a company's feedback to an angry customer because I was really impressed with how they dealt with it. Yeah, you know, some guy giving 2 stars for this product I actually quite liked, but the reply, I thought, you've got some morals, you've got some values, I like that. So don't worry too much about online reviews, but I'm more than happy to talk in detail another time about it. So those are the typical challenges. Well, what are the benefits? Plainly and simply, you'll get more customers, you'll get repeat business, you'll get referrals, you'll have less stress, you'll have happier employees if you recruit them. The list goes on, and you'll make more money. So what can you do? Well, this session is entitled 3 ways to deliver raving fans. I'll probably give you a few more and you get that for free. There's my bit of extra customer experience. So what can you do? Well, hopefully here's some practical advice. First of all, this is James, okay? James's USP is that he will look after your loved one's financial well-being for you when you're gone. I don't actually know what James does. He might be a financial advisor. He might be a wealth planner. He might be just doing wills and wills and probates. But that's his USP. Yeah, that's how he comes across. I'm going to call out Pete if you don't mind, because hopefully he can take some feedback on the chin. But somebody once said to me about Pete, and they'd never met him, "What does a head cheerleader do?" And I had to explain on Pete's behalf, but think about that in your marketplace. Okay, what's your USP? Do you have the Ron Seal moment? Does it do what it says on the tin type scenario? Keep it simple. If you're struggling with USPs, think about these companies. You know, Waitrose are generally renowned for friendly service, and according to my wife, selling packets of Lurpak for £9.35 or something stupid. Asda, they're generally known for price. That's where you'll save your money. McDonald's, you know it's going to be quick, you know it's going to be hot, and you know you're going to regret it 5 minutes later and feel sick. Spar, convenient generally. They were on every sort of town centre corner, etc. Mercedes-Benz either. They're a luxury brand apparently. You know, they make nice cars. Wouldn't know because I don't have one, but apparently they're quite nice. And then you've got good old Amazon. I've only referenced them twice already. Choice, service, the list could actually go on, finance and what have you. One interesting fact about Amazon, and there are many, when they have board meetings, they have a spare chair in the boardroom. They have a spare chair in the boardroom that nobody sits in because that's where the customer sits. Because a customer needs to be in every decision that Amazon make. So consciously and physically, they have a chair in a boardroom that's empty where the customer sits. Think about that. Who's in your boardroom? Emotional connections. My wife has never come home and said, "Oh yeah, I bought that. Do you need it?" No, it's just an emotional purchase. I'm sure you haven't either, but think about the last time that you bought a large, made a large purchase, a house or a car. Part of the psychology in buying is emotional. So think about what the top 3 feelings you would want your customers to feel and you wouldn't want your customers to feel when they interact with your business. This is actually best done in a workshop environment, and I'm not plugging a workshop that Pete is not delivering, but there are lots of tools that I can share with you that help your thought process on this. But emotions play a big part. And one of Pete's other good friends, Zig Ziglar, says that people don't buy for logical reasons, they buy for emotional reasons. Can't even say it anymore. So think about the emotion. How does your service or your product or your offering make people feel? And we're coming to the end now, but there's a couple of, I'm going to call these basic, simple things, but they're not. But they might have been when you set your business up. But have you checked how you or your team answer the phone recently? Are you consistent? Does it give a good message? Do you have an internal SLA, service level agreement? How quickly do you get back to people? Or how quickly do you say you'll get back to people? If people have a message, a chatbot on your website, they probably want an immediate response. Yeah. If they're going to email in, they'll probably expect it within 24 hours. So just bear all these in mind. Your online presence, does it work on a phone? I know that sounds silly, but I'll come on to the reason why in a minute. How good is your mobile device at looking at your website? Because over 70% of people use phones now to do their research. Listening and reacting. Do you do one before the other? Hopefully you don't react and then listen, but you listen and then you react to something. Linked to that is your email responses with listening and reacting, the tone of them and the quality of them. Out of office messages, voicemail messages. Apparently when I checked it last week when I was prepping this presentation, I was still on holiday in May, according to my voicemail. Not cool. When did you last check yours? Your tone of voice. Yeah. If you need to be Mr. or Mrs. Customer Service, then be Mr. and Mrs. Customer Service. But just talk to Fiona, basically. She'll sort you out with the tone of voice, I think. Just make sure that you're using the right one at the right time. And then, of course, you've got your presentation. You, your staff, your office, your brand. Just bear all that in mind, because people buy those experiences. You probably won't go back to that restaurant with a dirty kitchen and a filled up toilet, will you? Bear that in mind for your business as well, not the toilet though. I'm just going to share a real life example, because I did some work for a business coach on customer experience this time last year, and no, it wasn't Pete. He had 10 SME businesses, and I made inquiries through their websites by email or using their contact forms. What he wanted me to find out was how quickly they responded, what the quality was like. Did they sell me something? Did they ask for my needs and ask for the business? Out of those 10 inquiries that I made, 8 businesses could be found, but 2 websites didn't work on a mobile phone. Shock, horror. I can see Kelly just nodding, going, yeah, been there. 36 hours was the average time of the 8 that replied to me, and majority of them replied via email. 4 didn't bother though. Didn't get any reply from inquiries. Yeah, these are 10 SME businesses. This is 10 of you, essentially. Imagine that. How hard is it getting leads and then you just don't reply? 2 had the booking systems that you can book a call. Neither of them called when they said they would. One was an hour late and the other one was a day late, 24 hours. So obviously they'd set it up wrong. Yeah, GMT and all that. And then when I did get to talk to somebody, or other various people, I should say, the conversations went from being too brief to actually off-putting. Most of them were informative, telling me about their services, but they didn't consult. So, Graeme, why would you like to buy our product? Well, okay, fantastic. Let me make a recommendation. Only one of them asked me to go ahead, and that same one followed up via email. So all that work you've spent, all that money you've spent marketing and doing all that, it just fell flat, really. And this is just 10 random businesses. And as I said, it was for a business coach, and it wasn't Pete. But it was just a bit of a wake-up call. So if you haven't been through and stress tested your own business at the moment, might be a good opportunity to do so. Customer journey is a thing. And the thing is mapping it all out. And some of you might be aware of this, but if you haven't, again, takes a bit of time, but starting off with really the personas, I think we've all had that great discussion in a workshop next Tuesday, I think it is a really good place to be. Then we need to map out the journey, what it looks like. And there's many tools available. I got this one from Canva, I think, looking at the touch points. You know, when you talk to a customer or they interact with you, what should it look like? You know, how can you make the best experience at every touch point in the customer journey? It's definitely something to explore further, but not something I can do in 10 minutes. The other thing is, your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. If I remember back to my corporate days working for Apple, Tesla, Carphone Warehouse, all those wonderful companies that give me some great knowledge, we learned a lot when people left. Yeah, why have you left this company? You know, kind of exit interview, let's call it. Oh, I didn't like XYZ, or he was an ABC. You learn from mistakes, and if you're not learning from people leaving you, then that's definitely an opportunity for you to be asking. And that may be the opportunity. If you're not asking, you're not learning. Brave to do, but it has to be done. And then finally, you are all mystery shoppers. So the tasks that you have from listening to my droll for the last 10 minutes is that I would like you this week to put on your pseudonym hat and your long cape. If you haven't got one, you can borrow one from Jamie. Make an inquiry to one of your colleagues on here through their website or through their chat as a mystery shopper. So if you've got an alias email address or something and a funny voice that you can put on, please do so. But do your friends a favor and make an inquiry for their product or their service and just see how it works. And hopefully you'll be picking someone who you've already built some relationship with, or maybe not, might be a good icebreaker. But just give them some feedback, how you felt, what the journey was like, how quick was it, did it meet your expectations? Really simple thing, but this is mystery shopping. It's so powerful, so forgotten about, and I think just a really good thing that you can all do after, well, this week or next. I'm not going to press you to do that. And then finally, if you haven't got this book, it cost me £1.68 on Amazon. For a used copy. It's a really good starting point. Ken Blanchard writes in a very simple manner that brains like mine can understand, 1 minute manager style. Just gives you a great introduction about Raving Fans. And no, Pete, before you ask, I didn't copy pages from this for today's presentation. That is my presentation though, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Graeme. Really appreciate that. Right,